the question of what is the most interesting horror movie to talk about, then this one is definitely going into the spotlight. The Platform sounds something you probably heard of before. If you are really into horror movie genre, then I am definitely sure that this one has came to your attention once. The first time I watched The Platform, I remember that for me it wasn't just any new type of horror movie. This wasn't a type of horror movie where there are people who are somewhere and they need to survive from a killer, which has been made a lot of movies of. But The Platform isn't that kind of movie at all. It has an actual interesting plot. When I watched this movie, I couldn't help but love it, man. The story of the movie, what people their goal is, and that it is so mysterious. And then 5 years later, Galder Gasaru Yurusha, who directed this movie, decided to give the fans what they were waiting for and releasing The Platform 2. When I knew that The Platform 2 was on Netflix, I was shaking with excitement to go watch this movie. Because movies such as The Platform have such an interesting story and plot that it definitely deserved a sequel. And let's say that this was a very interesting movie. After the movie got released, there were millions of articles who claimed that the sequel was a disappointment and fails to capture the attention and intricacy of the original. Or that people hated this movie because they couldn't follow or understand what was going on. And yeah, I have to agree, it wasn't perfect. I expected so much more when I heard they were going to make a sequel, but it still kept me interested of what was going on. And the thing what I have to say to those people is that such movies as The Platform, it is completely normal that you have no idea what's going on here. The movie's all about going in details, the lore, the secrets, to understand what is happening. When I watched The Platform 1 for the first time, I also didn't really get what the movie was about and it really confused me. But I rewatched the movie multiple times and really went into detail so I could understand it. Like just read the entire Wikipedia page or something, I don't know. But one thing I am not agreeing with is that the article said that there was absolutely no need for making a sequel and that they just needed to keep it with one movie, which isn't the case. If you know how The Platform is and you know what it's about, then you would definitely know that this movie having a sequel was awesome. I mean, when I was done watching The Platform, I was searching on Google for myself if they were going to make a sequel, because I really wanted them to make another movie about this. Inside Out is a type of movie that didn't need a sequel at all. Simply because of the story of what happens in the first Inside Out, there wasn't anything to add on. It was very clear what was happening, and when I was done watching Inside Out, I felt like that was it. There wasn't anything to do with the movie no more. But yeah, you know, Pixar is... Pixar. Now in this video, I really want to go in detail of the second movie of The Platform, since I've been waiting 5 years for this to release, and that it now finally came. So let's get into it. Oh yeah, and before I'm going to talk about it, I will have to warn you that I will be spoiling some stuff about the movie. So yeah, you have been warned. Enjoy. So first of all, what is The Platform about? So The Platform is literally what it says in the name, The Platform. You can kind of see this in as a jail, but more of a your own will jail. But I'll explain that later. Everyone gets put in a random platform with someone else. It could be somewhere below or somewhere really high. But does it matter what number you will be staying in? Yes. Because every day in the platform there will be a big cube going down to every single platform room, and that cube is filled with food. And it's either that you are in a really low number and you get to eat all the food you want, or you have to be very unlucky by being at a high number and starve to death. The higher number you are staying, the less food you're getting to eat. Now, how is the food getting handled in the movie? In the first movie, the goal with the food was to eat as much as you possibly can, until the cube will continue on going down. But in the Platform 2, it's a little more different. Because in the sequel, there are strict rules about the food. Because even there is a lot of food, you can only eat your food that you have chosen. Because remember that I said that this is a jail of your own will? Well, everyone that is in the platform is here because they want it. It's their choice. But why do they choose to be in a place like this? Everyone is here because they had something horrible going on or they have some kind of addiction. For example, the two main characters from this movie who are called Perempuan and Zemiatin. By the way, to say this already, it is mostly Perempuan that we will see through the entire movie, because Zemiatin will die eventually. But why are they here? Zemiatin is here because he wanted to burn the house of his parents, and Perempuan is here of something horrible she did in the past. And that being in the platform will give her some time to forgive herself. And if you decide to put yourself in the platform, you will also get to decide what kind of food you would like to have on the cube. It could be pizza, sushi, spaghetti, you name it. But of course, the strict rules are that you can only eat your own food, or you will be punished by the master. Because the reason they have this is that this is a message from the movie. The movie producer Galder himself told this. He said humanity will have to move towards the fair distribution distribution of wealth. Which is probably why in the sequel they are very strict if someone disrespects this message. And if you do, like I told before, you will be punished by the master, or how other people call him, the legend of the law. The only goal that there is for him is to make sure that everyone divides the food fairly. And if you will be disrespecting it, the way how he would punish you is a kind like a death penalty. You could either lose an arm or a leg, or even hang you naked on the cube until you die. But like I said, these are strict rules that were only in the Platform 2. Because in the Platform 1, there was no such thing as a master where you have to follow the rules of. Which is why everyone ate as much as they possibly could. And another thing about the Platform 2 is that in the very beginning of the movie, we see a lot of kids who just have a fun time playing around. And at the end of the movie, you get to see this group of kids again, but everyone is pushing, kicking, and slapping everyone. And believe it or not, but this is also the same what it is with the food. As people will fairly dividing the food, everyone is happy and it's all balanced. No argues of other people who ate the wrong foods, no fights, no nothing. And that is the same way with these kids. Every kid wants to go off the slide, but to go off the slide you have to wait patiently until it's your turn. In case if one of the kids will pull everyone so he could go quicker on the slide, the other kids would want that as well, which is why it would end up in a fight and a mess. And it's really weird to think about it, but yes, these two situations actually compare to each other. Now I think it is clear now of the food. There was another question I was wondering in myself, which is, on all of the posters for the Platform 2, the people who got the most spotlight of all time, the characters are Perempuan and Zemiadin, like I told in the beginning. But why are both of them put it in the spotlight if Zemiadin would die eventually? Well, believe me when I say that this is a lot more interesting than it looks. As he plays as some sort of weird fat guy who likes eating pizza every day, apparently that is not the case who he actually is. Because the most what Zemiadin interested in was math. Because believe it or not, but he was able to have a job to be a teacher at a math university, but he decided to quit of one single problem: square root of -1. The solution to this root, what is in mathematics, is called an imaginary number. But why did that made him quit? Because square root of -1 is an imaginary number that doesn't match any physical reality in our universe, which made it that he could never trust math again or anything else. And it was a bit confusing at first, like even Perempuan asked that he quitted his job and decided to live again with his parents of a single math problem, and his response to that is that an imaginary number doesn't exist, which made it that he couldn't trust math no more. So I think that it probably was his dream to be working at a university, and of that realization it had all hopes and dreams crumbled apart. But when we are talking about the story of Perempuan, it goes a lot more further and mysterious than that, because there are some articles that claim it is unclear why Perempuan is here. But I will be stabbing these articles in the back and explaining it. By the way, everything what I will be telling now is what I find it from an article called Screen Rant, so to not get in trouble, what I will be telling is all from their article. Perempuan's past also remains shrouded as she struggles to come to terms with that she did deserve to her sentence in the vertical prison. Towards the end of the Platform 2, she finally accepts she is responsible for her boyfriend's son's death. As she recalls, she had created a sculpture of a dog, which had spiky edges. Her boyfriend's sons accidentally slipped and fell over one of these edges, which instantly killed him. Instead of holding herself accountable for her boyfriend's son's demise, she hired the best lawyers to avoid legal repercussions and even sold to the sculpture to earn a massive fortune. And in the movie itself, she isn't really talking about it, and why she did all of those things is not really clear, but that is the reason why she ended up in the platform. Also, do you guys know how Perempuan and freaking Goring know each other? AKA the other main character from the first Platform movie? Well, one of the reasons is that the Platform is actually a prequel instead of a sequel. How am I 100% sure, I hear you ask? Well, in the Platform 1, the character Goring was the person where we see his entire journey. The other person's Goring's cellmate was no other than a guy named Trimagasi. And somewhere between the movie when Trimagasi was trying to cut parts of Goring off, this one girl that came from the cube to help Goring by killing Trimagasi. So you can clarify that Trimagasi died in the first movie. But randomly in the Platform 2, Trimagasi appeared as Perempuan's new cellmate alive. So it clarified that Perempuan has been a lot quicker in the platform ever before Goring decided to join the platform. And the fact that the Platform 2 is a prequel, it retcons Goring's backstory. Because the reason why he decided to join the platform was a part of an agreement. Goring volunteered to spend the next 6 months in the platform, in exchange for his voluntary admission, he would receive a diploma upon the completion, indirectly quit smoking and read Don Quicksoak. But Perempuan recognizing Goreng means Goreng actually had a different backstory. Because as we remembered, Perempuan's reason that she joins the platform was that she needed time to forgive herself in order of being responsible to her boyfriend's son's death. And through the journey of both Goreng and Perempuan seem to face struggles while they spend their time here. And both struggles they have look so familiar to each other. So the fact that they leaded to the same struggle and that they recognize each other when they were all below was making me think, was Goreng's Perempuan's boyfriend? I mean, it is almost hard to believe that it's not. I mean, that could be the only reason of why they know each other, because the movie itself doesn't explain why they actually know each other. Now you're probably wondering, why did Zemiatin actually kill himself? And you might think that it is of the math problem we told before, but that is not the case. You see, there is a rule in the law where if there is food on the cube for people who died, you have to throw the food away in the trash can. And while Perempuan and Zemiatin were doing this, Zemiatin decides to eat one meal from a dead person, which is against the law. Later on in the movie, Zemiatin realized what he did, so both Perempuan and Zemiatin will be punished by the master because they broke the law, except if one of them will sacrifice. And since Zemiatin didn't want Perempuan to be punished, he decided to sacrifice himself by setting himself on fire and then jumped off the platform. Now that Zemiatin died, we get introduced by Perempuan's new cellmate by the name Sahabat. The interesting thing about her is when both Perempuan and Sahabat met, Perempuan thought she was new to the platform, which didn't seem to be true. Even stronger, Sahabat has been in the platform for over 6 months, while on that moment Perempuan has been in the platform for only 3 months. And she even told Perempuan some things about the platform that she didn't know. One of those things is that you cannot leave the platform, which she is the first person to actually ever talk about this. She told the only way you can escape the platform is by escaping. When Perempuan is escaping, the entire platform turns green, and we see these people with the gas mask, who are probably the people who are all behind this. Now the thing is, when the platform turns green, it means that there is some sort of gas that will be revealed which exists as a sleepy gas. And I don't really get it how Perempuan can stay immune for this. Another thing we get to see at room 333, which is the lowest room that exists, they put it a literal child there. And the fact that the whole bottom of the platform that there is a child isn't something new. Because in the platform 1, when Goreng decided to go all the way down to the platform, he also managed to find a kid in room 333. And it is very mysterious of why there is a kid in room 333. And there goes a lot of questions in my head, such as what is a kid doing in the lowest level of the platform? How is she able to survive? When, as we know, the lower you are in the platform, the higher chance you have of having no food. So how does she survive? Well, she doesn't, but at the same time she does. Even this is just a kid, it is not that this is a kid who is some kind of god or something. She is just like all the other people in the platform, and she also just suffers of having no food. Because the fact that Goreng went all the way down, this kid was very lucky because Goreng decided to give her some food. But she literally does the same thing as everyone else, survive. But more in a safer way, because I don't think there's a single person out here, well except Goreng and Perempuan of course, to go all the way down to the platform. Because if you decide to go all the way down to the platform, the chances for you to survive are very low. Because even Goreng and Perempuan made it below, both of them were suffering a lot because they were both really injured. But back to the platform 2, when Perempuan found this kid, instead that she was thinking of escaping, she decided to change her mind and do the exact same as Goreng did, which is going all the way down with this kid. Now between those two moments there was something else going on, which was the most confusing of this movie. You see a lot of people whose skins are burnt, and this guy that we never saw or heard of before throws a random knife at Perempuan and then the kid that sleeps on the cube. Well, just to say this, I have absolutely zero clue of what was happening here, who that guy was, and why everyone's skin was burnt. Now I am sure that they put this in the movie for some reason, but I just can't seem to know that reason. Now when Perempuan and the kid got all the way down, everybody else told her that the cube is only going up if she left the kid on it, because the kid is the message. Or in other words, bringing the kid back up all the way is sending a message to the people behind the platform for hope for the future. For everyone will be dealing with the food. And then boom, the movie is done. Now when I heard that they were going to bring a sequel of the platform, even we know this is a prequel, it is still very cool to see what they gave us. Even not everyone is that happy about it, I still enjoyed the movie. Because so far this has been the longest video on my channel, and this is also why it has been so long I haven't been uploading. I had a lot of fun talking about the platform 2, and I have read somewhere else that they will be working on a platform 3. Now I don't know if this is actually the case, but if it is, I am happily waiting for it to make a video about that. But let's end the video here. I hope y'all enjoyed the video. If you did in fact enjoy the video, then please support me by liking this video and subscribing on the channel. You guys are very epic. Anyways, thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys later. Bye bye.